Deliver us gods from all fled as Bruxae and Alps.
Master Witcher, maybe you could satisfy my curiosity. What's it like going toe-to-toe with a monster, knowing you've only two options, to kill or be killed?
I cannot let you leave. Raise your hand against the vampire! You shall die for that!
Have you ever brushed past a hooded figure in the pale moonlit streets of Beauclair, only to turn your head and find no one to be seen? Well, you may have had a close shave with death, for a Bruxa or an Alp could be hiding under that hood.
Bruxa, gotta be.
A Bruxa? You mean a vampiress?
They are classified as a higher breed of the vampire species, and often mistaken for a creature akin to the succubi. Yet the Bruxae and the Alps are vampires true and clear, and like all vampires they have many unique and terrifying qualities. They are the only female or identifiably female vampires that take the form of attractive women.
Leave me alone!
It seems to be an innate talent and not a level of magic akin to polymorphy.
Keep an eye out for Alps and Bruxae. The shapely ones resemble women. There one moment, gone the next.
They have the luxury of walking incognito amongst humans in the sun, as they are one of the few species unaffected by the light of day. As we are discussing vampire conventions, it is true of the Bruxa and Alp that neither are affected by garlic. It is socially inconvenient at most, and they may consider holy symbols interesting examples of handicraft, and neither may be so easily felled by a stake through the heart. Besides, you have to be very quick to plunge any weapon deep enough to kill these extremely agile and fleeting creatures. Bruxae have the ability to turn completely invisible, and can slip into a wisp of smoke in a heartbeat, into their more vampiric form. If you are no witcher, then there is no chance of keeping up with their speed. They'll likely slash your gut or pounce on you out of the blackness to bite deep into your arteries, spilling out the blood they crave and desire. The list of powers doesn't end there, as Bruxae have telepathic abilities. They can talk to animals and more specifically have a fondness for birds. If you find yourself wandering into unknown forests or deep and dark ruinous places, then listen carefully for the song of birds that carries on the wind.
Bruxae tend to be fond of birds.
If you hear several types all singing and crowing at once, then you may wish to turn right around, as you have just stepped into Bruxa or Alp territory. A combative trait that both vampiresses share is their screeching voice that can be harnessed as a weapon, a sonic boom to blow you off your feet. At this point, you are very much the prey, and are simply a confused, stumbling meal.
Massacred by a vampire.
The Alps don't share the trait of invisibility, yet it matters not, as they move with such agility that they may as well be a wisp of smoke on the wind. They are known by some as fleetlings, as no human eye could track their movement. Speaking on the Alps, they are usually fair-haired, but less fair-tempered than the Bruxae may appear to be. It would seem they are the more bloodthirsty and manic variety, although it could vary greatly between vampires. Their pallid complexion is often stained a dark red with dried blood, as they are often feeding. Boils and lesions can be observed on their bodies. Perhaps this is part of some blood frenzy, or occurs due to the excessive blood drinking. It is not so clear, however. This is very easy to do if your prey is in a comatose state. Alp saliva contains a substance, a paralysing agent which induces a deep sleep state, and can invoke horrible nightmares.
Been having bad dreams. My brother coming back in my nightmares.
There is some confusion on vampires, specifically the ordering of a Bruxa and a true higher vampire, and if there is perhaps some crossover. The tomes and varied lore of these post-conjunction creatures are always found to be muddled and misleading. They are such a secretive and elusive species after all. As a wealthy hostess of Beauclair, is perhaps not as charitable or even human as she may appear to be. For Orianna is a Bruxa, a vampiress with qualities that one would assume belong to that of a true higher vampire.
In a hurry to get somewhere?
Very much so.
As mentioned, there seems to be many unknowns when it comes to the vampires. She owns and presides over an orphanage for the downtrodden and the left-behind children of Beauclair. A seemingly kind-hearted and philanthropic gesture. In reality, she is something of a farmer, and the product is blood.
It carries quite a way. Its sweetness teases the nose, gets the mouth watering.
The husbandry and care of humans is a delicate art for vampires, as the free-range variety always trumps that of battery cage, as simply locking up prey shivering and in constant fear has a negative impact on taste.
Orianna? Release him. Now.
As Orianna knows, the best way to feed without stress is to build a relationship with your prey.
The orphanage. Your wine cellar, right? A larder for blood. Go outside, little man, and lock the door behind you.
No, don't hurt her. Lady Orianna took care of us. She took us off the street, brought us sweets, sang to us. Leave her be.
Adept vampires such as Orianna allow for psychological or physical dependencies. This is all too easy with children, it seems.
I run into dilemmas all the time. Situations where it's hard to judge, hard to know what's right, make a decision. This is not one of them. You disgust me. I'll come back for you one day. You realize that, right?
Then I shall keep an eye out for you.
A witch's defense against vampires comes first and foremost in their mutations. After all, an albino Bruxa's tongue is an ingredient used in the decoction of the grasses, the trial which mutates a young boy into an agile witcher.
Moondust will reveal her.
Witchers can also use a moondust explosive, which sends silver shrapnel outwards, covering the monster's body, preventing it from transforming. Or more specifically when it comes to the Bruxa, from turning fully invisible. As usual, blade oils are always useful, and perhaps one of the most important defences and offences in a witch's arsenal is the black blood potion.
Black blood and moondust could be lifesavers.
If a Bruxa or Alp manages to bite into the witcher, drawing blood, they will imbibe the toxin into their own bloodstream, tearing at their veins and poisoning their insides. Overall, Bruxae and the Alps are a vicious and bloodthirsty bunch. Yet it has been shown that some display a more human quality, even if that is to reach the same goal with less bloodshed. We move now to a more primal, lesser creature, where no such human qualities can be found. You will find only unbridled, blood-starved rage.
Shit.
Asleep in midst the trees, bats all a swaying in the breeze. But one soul lies anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags, and wraiths.